I did a Patreon, Tupac and Biggie versus 20 songs deep. Played the records, and first of all, I want to say this. I think it's incredibly impressive that those guys have been gone for so long and had such short careers and had such strong material to be able to do a 20 song, and there were songs that were left out. The final score, it was Tupac 12 to Big's 8. Now I'm gonna go through the songs track for track, but I first want to say, and the first thing that came to mind when that happened is when Memphis Bleak said, "Nobody could see Jay in the verses except for Big." And I'm sitting here looking at this Pac stuff. I'm like, I wouldn't be confident in thinking that Jay could beat Pac in the verses. I wouldn't. And I messed up, I feel like. And I'll go back and let me see something real quick.
I maybe made a slip up or two. I think that happens because part of when you do this is like you get caught up in your emotion of the moment of wanting to respond to, just like a normal artist would, you know?
Yeah, there was a record that I wanted to play that I shouldn't have played. And I think that was Thug Love. And I think the play that I should have made there should have been Me and My Girlfriend.
I should have played. I probably would have played Suicidal Thoughts if you would have played Me and My Girlfriend. I'll say this: I probably should have played one of the big records instead of Dreams.
Dreams.
But
yeah.
First of all, Mike, the beat the Dreams to me is actually better than the beat the like Juicy and Big Papa. Just like if we actually just talking about the beat, like because I'm thinking about it like stadium flow. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like Juicy and Big Papa are fine. You know what dreams sound like in the stadium when that that's different. And so that's how I was thinking of it too. And that might have been a misstep but Mike, I didn't want to get into no happy ass hit battle with Tupac. Wasn't about to do that. No.
Right.
I ain't no dummy. See, that's what I'm saying. People don't be thinking objectively, and they forgot what Pac did while he was here, which is why we about to talk about it. It's like, no, Mike, like Pac, like the only dude out here where I was like, nah, that Juicy and that Big Papa shit really not about to work over here.
Well, let me go down the line real quick. You started it off with Unbelievable. Then I played straight. Right. I've played Straight Ballin' because I wanted to gauge the audience and see if something like Straight Ballin' would win. Unbelievable won that. Then you played the Get Money remix. And I played Temptations. Get Money remix won that. Then you played Warning. And then I played Hail Mary. Hail Mary won that. You played Kick in the Door. And I played Two of America's Most Wanted. Two of America's Most Wanted won that. Then you played The What. I played Pour Out a Little Liquor. The What won. Then it was my turn to lead the, I guess, the rounds per se. And I played Ambitions as a Rider. You played the One More Chance remix. Ambitions as a Rider beat that. Which I may disagree with, but I understand, right? Hold on 1 second. I think I just lost the screen.
The One More Chance remix definitely shouldn't be losing to too many records, just so we're clear.
Ambitions as a Rider, though, many would say that that's like the best lead-off song in hip-hop history.
I would agree with them. Definitely of modern day times, Mike. If we're talking about like, this is what I mean. Not an intro, not the first song after you have like a spoken word or whatever intro. But as far as like you cut some shit on and it's like that's the first thing you hear. It's like, oh yeah, that's the level.
I got a request today for us to do a top 10 album intro song list. And I think we would have to just oppose it between, like you said, that first song, mm-hmm. or album intro. Like for the people out there, What Up Gangsta is a full song. Ambitions as a Rider is a full 3-verse song, right? But then you got the Dynasty intro that's 1 verse.
Stillmatic intro.
Stillmatic, 1 verse. I still think that I would count them the same. You know, I think that we could just say like top 10 first songs or album starting songs of all time.
See, but that's what I mean. When we do that, I don't think it's fair to put the Dynasty intro and the Stillmatic intro up against like Ambitions as a Rider and What Up Gangsta, because they're
Follow the leader.
That's what I'm saying, Mike. You want to put that? No. That's different. What they're trying to accomplish. They're doing a real intro. These guys are introing their album with full-fledged songs that are like haymakers. Mike, I told you, Paid in Full starts off with "I Ain't No Joke,"
which is probably the last song that he recorded for that album.
Well, you might. That's 88 Rakim right there. Yeah. And then actual 88 Rakim with "Follow the Leader," starting off. "Follow the Leader" comes to mind.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. Something like Illmatic, it was written with New York State of Mind and The Message. Those albums have intros before they have songs, so that's different.
Okay. I mean, I would say that if we did a list where it was the top album starting songs, then songs like New York State of Mind would apply.
Okay.
Right?
That would be top 10 then.
Yeah, I think so. Ambitions as a Rider beats One More Chance, right? And then I played Brenda's Got a Baby. You play Everyday Struggle. That was a great response, by the way. Everyday Struggle beat Brenda's Got a Baby. Then I played How Do You Want It? You played Players Anthem. How Do You Want It? Won that. Then I played I Ain't Mad at You. You played You're Nobody to Somebody's So Somebody Kills You, excuse me. I Ain't Mad at You. Won that. I played Gotta Get Mine, MC Breed. I wanted to get that one in there. Then you played You Can't Stop the Rain. Shaq's record featuring Big. You Can't Stop the Rain won that, as it should have. And as much as I love Gotta Get Mine, Big's performance on there is bananas. One of the best featured appearances ever.
Jeez. Mike, when I listen to it, I still think it's like, no, I'm not certain that that's not his best feature, Mike.
It like might
the two verses he has on there, Mike.
The thing was, Big was getting better and better and better, and you could hear it. Like, nasty. You can hear it on there. You can hear it on Victory. It's like, yo, this dude, as great as he already was, he was just getting better and better.
Clip extend from hand to elbow. Run up in your days in. Any telly you in.
Killing it, man. With ease, too.
Yeah, with Mike. It's like, I told you, Mike, like listening to him rap flow-wise, it's like watching somebody spin in mid-air and then stick the landing. Like without like the little jump or the skip. It's like, no. They just fall flat on their feet when they're done.
Then you played Who Shot You. I played No More Pain. No More Pain won that one. That was a good round, actually.
That's very interesting, fascinating, round. Yeah.
You played Long Kiss Goodnight, and I played Pain from the Above the Rim soundtrack. Pain won that. You played My Downfall. I played Scarface's Smile. My Downfall won that. I was surprised. I thought people would have picked Smile.
Mike, I think My Downfall might be the best song on Life After Death, so I don't necessarily agree with that.
Wow, I never heard you say that.
Oh, yeah, My Downfall is my favorite record on Life After Death. Definitely on disc 2. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
that was always my favorite record on there. Mike, that's where his flow is really filthy, Mike. Me and Sean Combs taking bras home.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, love Ambitions as a Rider and What Up Gangsta, but Victory blows them out the water in terms of first song on an album. Victory's on that list too.
Victory's on that list, but I don't think, how about this, Mike? I don't think Victory's better than Ambitions as a Rider, but I feel you.
I love Victory. I'm not sure it's better either. I'm not sure.
Love Victory. I ain't saying that though. Yeah.
You played Dreams. Then I played Changes. I was messing around with you there. Changes won that one. I wasn't even going to play Changes. Then you played Niggas Bleed. And this is where I messed up because I just knew that you had Notorious Thugs in the chamber. And I know how people feel about Notorious Thugs and Thug Love. But I should have known, you being you're not a huge Bone fan like that. You probably weren't going to play it. So I played Thug Love, and I lost that one very badly. I should have played Me and My Girlfriend against Niggas Bleed. I would have had a much better chance.
First of all, I'm a Bone fan. I'm just not the Bone fan that you are. Here's my problem is that although I think Big's mic performance on Notorious Thug is better than Pac's mic performance on Thug Love, there's something about that beat the Thug Love. And there's something about Pac's energy and Pac's voice on that record. I'm like, nah, that's what I mean. He's the only guy that when it comes to some big records, I'm like, nah, I ain't even trying to really play with that like that.
I think the Notorious Thug's beat is better
than
Thug Love, but for whatever reason, I like Thug Love more. I used to like Notorious Thug. You think so?
Because the beat's better, Mike. It's because the beat's better.
I think I like it because all of Bone is on it, and the way that Busy said it all.
Mike, Pac's not rapping better than Big, and they're not rapping better than them on Notorious Thugs. I'm telling you, it's that beat, Mike. Beat is fire.
You're right, because Crazy went in on Notorious Thugs, and so did Busy.
Busy snapped, and then on
so did
Lazy.
And Lazy could have the best verse. Yeah, Notorious Thugs is vicious. Platinum Fan with a super chat says, "Imagine what Biggs this album would sound like." I guess I mean what Biggs' album today would sound like. I still don't think anybody has made an album better than Life After Death since 1997. Do you think somebody's made an album better than Life After Death since 97? Because I've heard people say that before.
Do you think Supreme Clientele is better?
I do.
Okay. So I think what we have to do is
say something. I don't think anybody's made a more complete album since 97. I'll say that.
Complete and better aren't necessarily the same thing. Like, how about this? Emmitt Smith is a more complete back than Barry Sanders, but he ain't better.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, no, because he's a better blocker. He's a better pass catcher. Now, give that guy the ball 20 times, get that ball 20 times with the same offensive line. 250 yards versus 150 yards.
I play California Love. You play Victory. Victory beat California Love. Now, I was surprised at that. I guess people really ain't as big of a fan of California Love as I thought they would be. Then I played I Get Around. You played Big Papa Remix, which I thought was interesting. I think you should have went with the regular one. I Get Around won that one.
Shout out to Jermaine Dupri.
Shout out to Jermaine Dupri.
Beat on the remix is better.
And then I played So Many Tears. Shed So Many Tears, that is. And you play All About the Benjamins. Shed So Many Tears won that one.
I find that to be slightly problematic.
That's interesting.
So Many Tears is probably my favorite Tupac song, but I still find that to be slightly problematic.
Then I played Keep Your Head Up. You played 10 Crack Commandments. Keep Your Head Up won that.
Just had to do it.
Messages, you know. And then I played Dear Mama and you played What's Beef. And Dear Mama won that. So we had a grand total of Tupac 12, Big 8. Now, like I said, incredible matchup, incredible songs. I don't think you really missed anything except for, somebody could say you could have played Juicy instead of maybe Dreams, I guess. Yeah. I shouldn't have played Thug Love. I should have played a Pac song. What I did notice is, Pac's featured output is nowhere near Big's, but his individual solo output trumps a lot of people. And I mean like all time. And the fact that people try to make it seem like Pac wasn't what he was or is crazy to me. Like, and I told the people in the Patreon, I'm like, after those songs that were listed here, do you really think what Big Gip is saying is too far off point when it comes to Gip's standpoint of Tupac and Jay? Because I don't think Jay would be able to beat Tupac in the verses straight up. I mean, I would feel comfortable, and this is me as a Jay-Z fan, I would feel comfortable going up against Leroy Green with these Tupac records, and he can play whatever Jay-Z records he wants to. I know both catalogs.
I mean, Mike, I say this respectfully. I think I might be a bigger Tupac fan than you. I thought you missed some stuff potentially and could have actually watched me and forced me into playing those big hit records. I kind of left them on the shelf because you kind of didn't watch me. And here's what I mean when I'm saying you kind of didn't watch me. Well, you didn't play My Block off the show.
I didn't play My Block. I didn't play You Can't See Me. I didn't play All About You. I didn't play like Trap. I didn't play Live or Die in L.A. I didn't play Me and My Girlfriend.
You didn't play Picture Me Rolling,
I
Mike.
didn't play Picture Me Rolling. I had it right here. I didn't play Holla If You Hear Me. This man's catalog is crazy.
Even for the street shit that I hit you with, Mike, you didn't even play Hearts of Men.
I didn't. No.
Are you listening to all these records from Pac that you didn't play that I'm naming? Do you understand
that's why I wasn't playing 30 no
deep with this guy? I ain't playing no Juicy and no Big Pop up against this shit.
And you know what's amazing about this guy is the fact that none of this is featured stuff. These are all his records, man.
Great pop.
Because
Mike, you could have got petty and played Against All Odds.
Yeah. I was thinking about it.
That's
I really was.
Dope record, Mike. Against All Odds is a dope ass record.
I could have went there. I only played one record off of Machiavelli.
That's absurd.
That's crazy.
You didn't play Crazy.
I didn't play Crazy. This man's catalog is insane. And the fact that people want to, I don't want to say people, but in general, folks act like he wouldn't be unbeatable in the verses or like Big is the one. Nah, man. This man would have beat Big in the verses and he would beat anybody else because he got too much range.
I mean, Mike, how many times do you take somebody in a verses and I pause and I'm like, well, hold up. I didn't say like you taking them. Like, oh, look, hold up, wait.
Nah, man. And I think that when it comes to Pac, I think a lot of people who weren't there feel like, it's because of his untimely death or, he has such crazed fans that they elevate him in a certain way. Nah, man, it's not that. This man's catalog is insane. And he has probably more range than anybody who's ever done it. Now, back then, they used to try to make it seem like he was a hypocritical MC, but he was just a very balanced MC who gave you any and everything. You know what I'm saying?
So let's pause right there because that's the problem. And that's what I want to talk about. Mike, do you mean the East Coast biased media tried to make it seem Tupac was a hypocrite when really what he was giving us was the biggest full range of songs that we've ever heard from a hip hop artist and still stands to this day? You mean that?
Yeah.
You mean the whole he's not a lyricist thing, which is another East Coast bias that they placed against him to try to submerge his catalog? You mean that bullshit right there?
That was the thing that I was trying to understand even when we were playing it on the Patreon. I'm like, he's not a lyricist. Are they talking about flow? Because last time I checked, lyricism is engaged by the way that you're putting the words together. It's the words that are coming out on the page. You can't be a poet and not be a lyricist. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that got crazy flow that don't say shit. Are they lyricists?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of Tupac's mouth?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Do you understand the words? Mike, you was playing some songs and I was just like, I was sitting over here, I was thinking to myself, Mike, I was over here like.
Yeah. And even as a crack fiend, mama, you always was a black queen. That's lyricism.
Like,
I finally understand for a woman it ain't easy trying to raise a man. Come on, man.
Mike, when I was playing 10 Crack Commandments versus Keep Your Head Up, I was also trying to say something.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, and I love Big, but it's like
he's not him. And I love Big.
Because Mike, the separation is that like no. One guy is really, really clever at creating content. One guy is so great at the content that he never ever has to be that clever, Mike. He never has to think about being that clever. Because the content that he provides is what is the thing. And so that's why I played 10 Crack Commandments against Keep Your Head Up. Because, Mike, I knew what your last two records were. That's why I was like, well, I'm not winning against the last two, but let me show you. Because what are 10 Crack Commandments and what's beef? That's style.
Yeah.
That's concept. That's all those pretty shiny parts when you buy the car that you like that don't have shit to do with the engine, the transmission, or the motherfucking gas mileage. You understand?
The thing too is, I think that if Pac would have went out there trying to be clever with his delivery and all of those things, I think the message would have possibly gotten lost. I mean, when you think about our most powerful messengers, you think about Chuck D, you think about Ice Cube, you think about Pac, and that's because they delivered it straight to you without no tricks and schemes. And no disrespect to anybody who does have all of those, lyrical dedexities, but I would say this, and I say this respectfully. Ludacris is probably one of the most talented lyrical gymnasts that there are. But you're not going to say he's the lyricist that Pac is. Or you shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't say that.
You tripping if
Where
you
would the
say
proof
that,
be?
right? Like, you don't have any evidence of that.
Jangling. Yeah. Let me get to the super chats
You don't
real
have any
quick.
evidence, respectfully.
You know, Platinum Fan with the super chat says, I meant Big's third album. Oh yeah, Big's third album would have been crazy with the growth. Now, see, I have this theory about, because we can only romanticize what Big's third album would have been. Do you think Big's third album would have been more money, more problems, or more what's beef, or more trying to continue balancing that whole thing out?
It's very, very funny because I think a lot of the reason why hip hop changed so much around that time is because Big died, because him and Puff and Bad Boy were setting a lot of trends and had, listen to me, it had the media on their side because their East Coast bias is real. Mike, we've been raised in the East Coast bias, even with how we view some things, and have to acknowledge it. Because most of our information of us growing up is coming from East Coast based publications. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's true.
So the message getting disseminated. So this is what I'm saying. Not only do they have the media on their side, but no, we have your most versatile and most personable and most charismatic MC that's not Tupac right there. And so we don't know where it's going, because where it's going was really where Big was taking it, because they kind of, the One More Chance remix, Mike, it took everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you weren't already grandfathered in, i.e. if you weren't already a Big L, a Nas, a Wu-Tang, a Mobb Deep, who had already released some stellar material prior to that or around that time, oh no, there wasn't no just coming in the game and with the hard raw. Look at the locks.
Yeah. I think that, and I guess I'm only basing it on what actually happened, right? I'm thinking, because this is a copycat league. Like when, if you're winning championships with the 3-point shot, the league's going to come after that. You know, they're going to do the same thing. If you're winning championships with a dominant big man, people are going to stockpile big men, right? I feel like with More Money, More Problems and stuff like that winning, and even the Only You remix that Big was on, that was towards the end of his life. I think he may have continued on and done more shiny stuff. Because I think he wanted to leave the griminess behind, because that wasn't what his life was at that moment. But he did need a kick in the door here and there to keep certain heads engaged. So I do think that a third Big album, we would have seen him continue to elevate, but I don't think that it would have had as many, You're Nobody to Somebody Kills You, My Downfall, and What's Beef that Life After Death had. You know, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so this is what I mean when we're saying we don't know what happens. I want you to think about two people's comeuppance and tell me their comeuppance is the same with Big in his prime and still outside. DMX and Jay-Z. Does Get At Me Dog hit the same if Big is still there? Because it's different. No. Mike,
I don't even know if Master P comes in the same way.
Mike, that's a whole nother conversation. Let's just go to DMX and Jay. You think Get At Me Dog is hitting people the same if Big is still the dude that's spitting the flashy fly shit? Not Mace, not Puff. Yeah. Like you think DMX is hitting the same if Big is still outside? Mike, is Hard Knock Life Volume 2 banging like it is if Big? That's what I'm saying is like we never gonna know, but it's like I can tell you what I see. It's like whatever that man was about to do was about to affect what came right after, which is literally DMX and Jay's comeuppance. So their comeuppance is the thing that's really like in terms of like that lexicon of the great MCs, it's up for grabs, because this is what I'm saying. Well, people like Outkast, Mobb Deep, UGK, Snoop, Dre, Nas, they all existed and thrived while he was here. Him and Pac were here. It's the people that didn't thrive while Big was here that we need to be questioning, not the cats that was here. So the question is like, well, does that shit look the same? Like, does DMX and Jay do that 4 or 5 mil? Does X sell 9 million records in a year if Big is here? Does Volume 2 do 5 mil if Big's not here? Because I'm going to tell you what, going from selling 1 million records to going to selling 5 million records, Mike, that's a pretty big fucking jump.
Well, I think I was having a conversation with 007 today and my homeboy Brandon today.
I need to hit 007 back.
Yeah. It's all good. Everybody's running around. I think when we talk about Hard Knock Life Volume 2, selling all of those records, I think that the X factor here and the reason why it sold all those records is the Annie sample. Because usually when you look at other people who sold records to that magnitude, it continues on. Even when 50 did what he did with Get Rich or Die Trying, the Massacre came in the next time around and did 1 million the first week. You know what I'm saying? And
the Massacre
broke
did like
records
7-8 million, Mike.
Exactly. Same thing with Nelly. And I think even after Volume 2, Jay started talking that million in a week talk because he thought that all of that was going to carry over to the next projects. And it wasn't because he didn't have bangers on Volume 3 in the Dynasty. It was just that Annie sample sold a lot of records that didn't carry over. That song specifically had to have connected with an audience that didn't carry over for whatever reason. You know what I mean? So I think that Volume 2 is kind of an anomaly because of the Annie sample specifically, because he never sold like that again.
He didn't. So here's what I will tell you. With Nelly and with 50, and I want to be careful I say this, especially on the 50 side, and even Nelly from the streets too, they haven't said some of the disturbing things on record that Jay said. Okay?
Well, you know what I always say.
Their life before rap, albums. And I know 50 had a life before rap. Jay a hustler, Mike. Was a real hustler. His stories are different. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for white America to relate to some of Jay's best shit. It's like go play friend or foe for a white person that's known Jay-Z for the last 20 years. They'd be like, Jay-Z, when did he do this? It's like, you feel what I'm saying? So when he's doing Volume 3, Mike, and all that stuff, it's like, no. He's still
But he wasn't talking like that on Volume 3. And I think with Volume 3, Mike, he delivered everything.
Come and get me starts off, I'll remove your roof, nigga, let the sun slide in.
Yeah. I mean, but 50 was talking like
really
that.
Really a 36. Without the gun, I'm thin. But when the gat is tucked, I'm fat as fuck. Yeah. Ignorant bastard, I'm taking it back to day one. No kids, but trust me, I know how to raise a gun. For niggas that thought I spent my days in the sun, well, here's the shock of your life. The Glock, not the mic. Homie, I'm not in the hype. Trust me, I still creep. Nah, 50 wasn't talking like that after Get Rich or Die Trying.
I don't know, man. The Massacre.
No, he was not.
No. The Massacre's crazy. I'm Gonna Die Tonight, and you got In My Hood. He was talking crazy on that. Not to mention Baltimore Love Thing. Not to mention, nigga that watches nice. That's what you want from me? Come on now.
This was the part that I was about to say respectfully. Mike, this was the part that I was about to say respectfully. When it comes to Nelly and it comes to 50, you don't believe the words that come out of their mouth the way you believe the words that come out of Jay's mouth. It ain't the same. When 50's talking, you know that it's entertainment. 50 telling you it's entertainment. When Jay talking like he talking on Come and Get Me, it's like, nah, I done heard that guy before. That's the guy from the first two albums. Yeah, there he go. That ain't the same, Mike. That's what I'm saying. The way 50 talking on the Massacre ain't nothing to do like Jay talk. When he talking greasy, it's different, Mike. It's from somebody that really was active and had motherfuckers looking for him and shit. And you can tell. That's what I mean. The thing about Jay, the buy-in with the streets with him is that it resonates different if you was ever really in the streets because it hit a little different. You know what I'm saying? Every time Biggs come to my crib, he find another gun that I hid.
You know, I always feel like, and I know this, and this is my thing, single sell albums, right? And I just think that with Hard Knock Life, he hit a register with people who normally don't listen to him and didn't listen to him after. And that's why there was a spike there. You always have to notice where the spikes happen and why they happen. I think he continued with bangers, and the people who rock with him. But I think that the people who dug the Annie sample and bought the album for that, obviously, they just didn't carry over. Let me get to these super chats though, because I know we're really, really backed up with super chats.
Let me just say this, and then we can leave this alone, because you feel that way about Hard Knock Life, but I actually think that it's the Can I Get On, the Rush Hour soundtrack that pushed it to 5 million, because it was the biggest movie of the summer. He dropped it during the summertime. It was a great marketing and strategic ploy on this part. So I think Hard Knock Life, coupled with being on the biggest movie of the summer, is what pushed it to 5 million. But that's what I mean.
Because Can I Get It was huge, and that can't be understated.
But that's what I mean about how you respect his hustle differently. It's like, look at how he put it together to get to the 5 million. He took it from 1 to 5 real quick, Mike.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Like in a year.
Yeah. Jay Short with the super chat says, 25 years later, I still think Pac and Big were the most versatile artists of all time. They could do commercial and traditional hip hop at equal level. I think Pac is in a different lane just because of content. You know, I mean, even when you talk about versatility, yeah, Big was agile and versatile on a bunch of different tracks, but not from a content standpoint, not to the level of Pac.
He was agile conceptually.
Mad Max with the super chat says, Barry was a great talent, but Emmett was the back in the playoffs who would win you a game. Barry did a lot of tap dancing in the backfield for losses.
Okay, first of all, you wasn't outside. You wasn't outside, and you don't know what you're talking about.
I respect Mad Max's research for stuff that's before his time. I think
like
that's
that.
awesome.
You wasn't outside, Mad Max. You don't know anything about this, and I'm gonna say this to you one time. And Mike, and everybody from our era will agree with me. And listen to what I'm about to say, Mike. Put Barry Sanders behind that Dallas offensive line, Mike, and tell me what happens.
I mean, you know. We can speculate on what was what would happen.
Can you say 2,000 yards is a possibility every season for about 5 seasons? Yes, you can, because that man was there. Mike, he was running for 1,500 yards every season for the Detroit Lions. Stop playing with me. He was winning rushing titles on Emmitt Smith while Emmitt had that line. No.
Yo, real quick. 007 texts me, and I just seen him in the super chat too, so we're gonna get to that.
Not outside.
But 007,
Mad Max.
007 was reminding us that every J single, just about, he attached himself to a soundtrack. Him and I were talking about this on offline earlier today. When you look at Ain't No Nigga, that's Nutty Professor, right? Who You With was on some soundtrack. I don't remember which one it was.
Never Sprung.
Sprung, there it was, yeah. So Who You With was attached to that soundtrack. You also had the Can I Get Her attached to Rush Hour. Then he came with
Hey Poppy's on the Nutty Professor.
Hey Poppy's on Nutty Professor, but Blue Streak had that what was that?
Blue Diamonds?
Yeah.
Diamonds? I don't know.
I'm trying to think that nothing on Volume 3 was connected to a soundtrack. So he kind of stopped that gaming there, but yeah. And then you had La La La. That was
5 million though.
What's that?
But he did that until he got the 5 million. That's why it doesn't happen on Volume 3. Yeah. That's a great call by 007 because that's strategic. That's what I'm saying. It's like that's the hustler in him that you have to respect too, though, because he angled himself and put himself in homes via the soundtrack that he knew he wasn't gonna get into. Talking the shit that he's talking on Dead Presidents 2, Politics as Usual, and The Evils. That is not about to get you in white people's houses. But let me tell you what will get you in people's white people's houses. Go.
Well, I think I brought that up because, I remember hearing Irv Gotti say that he brought Ain't No Nigga to Def Jam or whatever. And then I noticed that pattern that he just kept doing that. He kept doing the soundtrack play. All the way up to even Bad Boys 2 with La La La. They ain't got nothing to do with the movie. But, it's like soundtracks are important. But I think that it's important to work at that level. And I think that those are the things at the time, because me and 007 were talking about this in terms of the whole Nas and Jay thing. I told him that those are the things that made me feel like at the time Jay was ahead of Nas, because you always heard him out there, and those soundtracks had a lot to do with that. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's very smart. Jay's a hustler. Michael Williams with the super chat says, if Tupac had died in 1994, studio shooting, what would his legacy be? Would he be a top 20 without Me Against the World and All Eyes on Me? Man, I don't think so. I think Me Against the World was already done. So we would say, hypothetically, that would have been the last piece of work. Maybe, I don't know.
Yes, that's enough to be top 20.
Jay Short with the super chat says, You could put together a greatest hits of posthumous Pac songs changes. Are you still down? Do for Love, Heaven Got a Ghetto, Thug Mansion, etc. I was gonna play Heaven Got a Ghetto.
Hold
I
on,
love
let's
that
pause
record.
for a second.
I was gonna play
He
Do for
did Heaven
Love
for
too.
a Ghetto in full while he was alive. That was actually supposed to be on one of his projects, I believe. He just didn't feel like it fit anywhere.
Great song.
That's like that. I think that's like 95, 96 Pac. Like, if I'm not mistaken.
Because he's talking about Tanya Harlan, right? Yeah.
No, he's talking about Bush. Yeah, that's 94 Pac.
Yeah.
That's like Strictly for My Niggas, like between Strictly for My Niggas and Me Against the World Pac. Like right when Bush is getting. No, actually, it might be Mike. It might be earlier than that.
I think it's earlier than that because he's talking about the LA riots. You know what I'm saying?
He's talking about Bush because he's saying now Bush can't stop the hit. I predicted the shit into apocalypse. That's like 92, Mike. 92, 93.
Yeah. You didn't listen until the niggas burn it down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 92, 93. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I want to Heaven Gotta Ghetto is one of my favorite Pac songs too, Mike. Along with My Block. Like, that's what I'm saying. He got so much stuff.
His stuff ages so well because everything is so relevant and, you know,
timeless themes. He has the most, like, how about this? Illmatic is the album with timeless themes, but he's the artist with the most timeless themes, Mike. That's his GOAT talk. Don't nobody have more timeless themes than Pac. I Get Around, Keep Your Head Up, Dear Mama, So Many Tears, Ambitions as a Rider, Hearts of Men, Picture Me Rolling, You Can't See Me. Timeless themes, Mike. The king of the timeless themes.
I think he's the logo, man.
I've told you this for years, Mike. If we had a logo, because everything that's good and bad about us, we can just go ahead and pull up his catalog and pull up his interviews and pull up his videos and Mike and pull up his fucking rap sheet.
He covered it all. And one of the things,
that's rap right there.
And one of the things that Gipp said that stood out to me while we're playing this music, he did all of this while being a movie star at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, this man is in Juice. This man is in Poetic Justice. This man is in Above the Rim and still has a better catalog than anybody that came after him and has been gone for like, what, 27 years now? Like,
and was doing Gang Related with Mickey Rourke when he died. That's what I'm saying. So in 5 years, he did 5 albums, 4 movies, about 20 albums worth of material, and has the most timeless themes of all time. And people want to be like, he's not a lyricist.
Right. You know, when I hear all of that, I'm like, damn, what am I doing with my life? Jesus. It passed at 25.
Mike, from 20 to 25. Mike, from 20 to 25, Mike.
That's insane, man. And then we got a rapper out here who takes a 5-year break that you guys got over him. And when I say you guys, I mean Billboard and Vibe.
No.
Vibe of all people. Vibe was here. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, Vibe? Y'all put Kendrick Lamar over Tupac, man? Really?
Name on them.
Really? All right.
Tupac used to date Quincy Jones' daughter. She founded Vibe. Matter of fact, Mike, you want to know what? And I'm going to say this and I'm dead ass serious. Vibe, the number one fucking problem for the East Coast, West Coast shit in terms of the media.
Well, they created it.
They created it, so here they go with this bullshit again. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, Mike, so listen, Mike, where did It Was Written review come from?
Vibe.
Where the East Coast, West Coast thing come from?
That's Vibe.
Now they putting Kendrick ahead of fucking Pac and Nas.
Yeah, Mad Max in the super chat says...
you see how the dots start connecting, Mike? You see how the dots start connecting when you pay attention?
Yeah. Mad Max in the super chat says, it's not an East Coast bias when Tupac was running around saying people had him shot that had nothing to do with it. Pac is my GOAT. He said, Pac is...
want to do that? You want to do that today?
Cool. Let me finish.
Niggas that had him shot, like, this shit is crazy. He got shot 5 times in a fucking quad studio elevator.
Let me finish his super chat. Let me finish his super chat. He says, Pac is my GOAT, but his behavior was feminine. You tripping, Mad Max.
I told you, Mike, Mad Max need to go sit down somewhere. He was not outside.
Mad
Max was like 3.
Let's see. Anime Bros podcast with a super chat said he isn't a lyricist. Great song maker though. Why is he not a lyricist? Again, tell me what. You know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's define what an actual lyricist is. How about that? I feel like we've done this before, but hey,
we be having to get the dictionary too much, Mike. I had to define double entendre last week.
Lyricist, a person who writes the words to a popular song or musical. Okay, that's pretty simple, right? Um, lyricist is a person who writes lyrics, the spoken words, as opposed to a composer who writes the song of music, blah blah blah. I mean, so a lyricist is basically somebody who writes songs. If we want to go by a raw definition.
So I
So
mean,
why is he
Mike,
not a great
Mike,
lyricist again?
go type in Black Dictionary, lyricist, rapper.
Let's see.
Yeah, maybe we can get a black definition.
So people just making up definitions of words now.
Mike, when there's an East Coast bias in the narrative that says, well, Pac's not a lyricist, you see what I'm saying? Mike, just by definition, he's a lyricist. So the fact that it's being said and disseminated by the media is thereby the bias that's existing. And I don't want to hear that Pac is from New York and Baltimore and all that. He's throwing up the West Side.
This is what I'm going to say, though. And I even fell victim to this, too, in the 90s growing up. I would sit here and argue down that a freestyle was something off the top of the head. But if that's not what the definition was, it's not what the definition was. It doesn't matter who came along and changed that definition. Obviously, the people who started the freestyling thing said it's not off the top of the head. It's something written down that you didn't put anywhere that's a rap about nothing, right? Who am I to sit here and tell Big Daddy Kane, nah, man, a freestyle is off the top of the head? Based off of what, nigga? You weren't even there.
I don't get to tell Kane anything.
I don't get to tell Kane nothing. So it's like, regardless of what you've been taught that a lyricist is, there's an actual definition for it. And there's no way that you can sit here and claim that Tupac's not a strong lyricist. Jay Short with the super chat says, Pac is a lyricist. You have to be mentally prepared to listen to Me Against the World. That's why it's slept on. It's not an easy listen.
He's right. It's hard to digest because the content and the subject matter on every song is very, very heavy, Mike. Like, lyricists do.
Yeah, Leroy Green with the super chat says, RIP to both. But Pac versus Jay is like Jay versus Nipsey in LA. It's Jay against people's emotion and respect for the dead. He can't win there respectfully.
He can't.
Listen.
They got nothing to do with these records, man.
Nah, man, it's the records, man. And again,
the records. We ain't even
and honestly, I think anybody who's a Nipsey fan would even tell you if I came out and pulled out You Don't Know and these records, yeah, Nipsey can't beat that. And respectfully, and God bless the dead. But when it comes to this Tupac stuff, this isn't emotion. You heard the records that I ran down. I'm running down records like Hail Mary, Ambitions as a Rider, Keep Your Head Up, Shed So Many Tears, Dear Mama, Two of America's Most Wanted, How Do You Want It, Pour Out a Little Liquor, California Love, Pain, Straight Ballin'. This ain't emotion. No More Pain, Temptation, Brenda's Got a Baby, Smile, I Get Around. This ain't emotion. These are records.
Mike, I want you to think about this. He was only here for 5 years. Remember when Rick Ross was like, and I got a 20-piece for whoever wants some more?
Yeah.
That's Pac in 5 years. Pac
with
got
no
another 20.
features.
Mike, you played 20 Pac records, Mike. There's another 20 Pac records.
I played the stuff that he was featured on, just trying to spread love and keep it diverse. But there's only 3 featured songs that would even possibly make it in his set, and they don't have to make it in there. I mean, like I said, Thug Love could have went by the wayside. Gotta Get Mine and Smile are the only 2 that were featured records. Everything else is his. So you talking about going 40 deep with records that are his, and respect to Ross, but a lot of Ross's records would have been features.
Mike, respectfully, even the Rakim, it's like I feel like Rakim's like solo feature stuff gets to like into the 30s, and then it's like after that 30s, like after about 30, 31, 32, it's like okay. No, Pac got about 40, 50 in 5 years.
Just
Mike,
him.
I'm gonna say this again. In 5 years.
Just him. Yeah.
Just him.
He ain't jumping on no R&B records, and I ain't trying to, belittle that, but he didn't. It's amazing, man.
He didn't, because guess what? It's like he was the one that was creating the stuff with timeless themes. You needed to jump on his shit, not the other way around. And he knew it and acted and behaved petulant like it. Like, this is what I mean about how he's the logo, Mike. No, he's still a selfish-ass rapper, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, he a star of stars, too. He knew who he was. Like, he used to talk shit to niggas and tell them, be like, hey, you need to have this verse done before I come back, or you going to be off this record because I'm going to be on to the next record. What you doing? No,
I'm going to come with another verse. Take you off.
Yeah.
Man, Max with the super chat says, bro, East Coast people have Pac as their GOAT too. Stop the narrative that we actually play anybody from anywhere. No other area can say that. I think maybe your
Where
time
does the
does
whole
that, Mad
Pac not a
Max.
lyricist thing come from?
I think people in your time do, Mad Max, but I think that the era that came up during that time period, they've even admitted that they didn't play pop. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
know cats from Brooklyn that still have issues, Mike.
yeah, they admit that. 007 with the super chat says, Big's next album was going to be a response to Nas. They were competing double disc, and I Am concept album was the next move, and probably would have been a big disc. A Biggie disc, I guess he meant. D Gibbs with the super chat says, what do you guys think of LL's freestyle? Did you see LL's freestyle on iHeart Awards? I was, I love LL, respect LL, but I wasn't feeling. You know what? This is what I'm gonna say, and this is what I said to Dana while we were watching it. I was like, did Marshall write those bars? That's what I said. And I'm joking though. Obviously, I know ain't nobody writing for LL.
The man's been rapping for literally about 40 years.
But all jokes aside, some of the patterns that were in there were very Marshallish. It was kind of like, that whole call the paramedics and tell them that he pathetic, the lyrics ain't energetic, as sweet as a diabetic. That type of L stuff was kind of going on.
I like when L does that, and best form of flattery is imitation, Mike. So if L is taking some of M's flow, like that's actually a form of saying that, like, no, your flow is dope enough and syncopated enough into the black lexicon that somebody like LL can adopt it and utilize it. You know what I mean?
I think LL kind of started a syncopated flow early with I Need a Beat. Because nobody was really rapping like that, but he kind of went away from that. And I think once that kind of came back around, he kind of started doing some of those things to, to prove to people that he is the lyricist that he is. I think a lot of the times when he kind of gets some of that Tupac stuff, right? When he goes out there and makes songs that resonate, and he kind of like dials down the quote unquote crazy flows and stuff, he gets pegged as somebody who ain't no super lyricist or something. And I think he wants to show people that he is that sometimes, and I think that's kind of what that performance was. All jokes aside,
he is. This is what I mean about timeless themes again. His themes aren't as timeless as Tupac's with those records. And so the poetic nature of it may not always show itself. But also, this is what I mean. There's space for everybody. It's like, man, L's Playboy records are the best Playboy records. Like Lounging, doing it, Hey Lover, Jingling Baby,
Round the Way
I Need
Girl.
Love. Like, no. Yeah. I'm going back to Cali. No. L's the man at that. And so what you have is that not like he doesn't belong there. It's just Tupac's range is different than L's.
Yeah.
Because Pac can survive in that LL sphere, but then Pac has the Dear Mama, the pain, the pour out a little liquor, the so many tears, the ambitions as a rider, the hearts of men, the nigga that you love to hate on, picture me rolling. Mike, even the adaptation of here, and this is what I mean. Pac is somebody that watches stuff. It's like, well, me and my girlfriend, it's his take of I Gave You Power.
I say this and I'm not being funny, but Pac is like, for our 80s babies out there, man, Pac is like Captain Planet, man. Like, he can be the combination of LL, Chuck D, Ice Cube, and Scarface, and some other stuff. Like,
Mike,
and do it to the best. That's
who he was raised on.
Yeah.
He's a student of the game. That's what I'm saying. That's who he's raised on. And so listen, and this is what I mean. Pac is so important, and Pac is the tipping point, and this is another reason why he's the logo. He encompasses the themes of a Chuck D, but he has the vitriol of an Ice Cube, but he has the depth of a Scarface, but he has the Playboy mechanisms of a LL Cool J. And Big took all of that, and everybody lauded him for it more than Pac, and that's why the East Coast bias is real, and don't tell me that it's not.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, yes, Coop, X and J still have the same success because they tap into the climate of the culture. It's about polary between shiny suit and grimy rap. I think that things are. This is the thing, man. I think that In 97, obviously, the remnants and the hit records of Life After Death were guiding where the culture was going. But the album that actually guided things was No Way Out. And then it would carry it over with Harlem World by Mace. I think those things are different if Big is around. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Big was around while both of those projects are being made. Those projects aren't even as good without Big's ear.
But not while they were out, though. I think that the way that things were released would have happened differently if he was here, you know? And it's still here to continuously promote Life After Death. That's another thing that drove the success of No Way Out and Harlem World was the fact that Big wasn't here to promote Life After Death. And the biggest rap single of all time doesn't exist if Big's still here, which is Puffy's "I'll Be Missing You," which helped to guide No Way Out to the status that it became.
I'm about to say, but this is what I mean. Even with this, Mike, every time "Tell Me What You Want" from Total comes on by Mace, I'm like, I think that would Big beat first.
Think so?
When I listen to it, I'm like, can you hear Big on that with that hook? Can you talk about Summer on Smash? Yeah.
Well, I think Mace still would have got those records.
So a lot of the time for me, when I'm listening to No Way Out and I'm listening to Harlem World, I'm like, yeah, them niggas wasn't about to get in if Big was here because it was a struggle for them niggas to get in on Puff and Mace. What are we talking about?
I think Biggie would have. I mean, those records I think would have went to Mace anyway. Because Biggie just dropped.
You telling me Big ain't about to box these niggas out? Stop that.
But Biggie just dropped a double disc. Now Big probably would have made a feature on the Mace stuff or whatever. But I think you made a great point in one of our previous shows. I think a lot of that No Way Out stuff could have went to Mace though, and I think that changes the trajectory of everything. You know what I'm saying?
Or Black Rob.
Yeah.
Or Jadakiss.
Or Jadakiss. Mad Max with the super chat says, New York bias is just super Pac fans using his NY Rage tour for perpetually, and Pac is my GOAT. But that 9 months temper tantrum that he did skewed thinking of bias. No, man, the bias was in the media. This ain't even about Pac, really. I mean, us from the South, we saw the bias in how Southern acts and West Coast acts were treated. You know, at the end of the day, Mad Max, do you really feel like the Chronic and Doggy Style got 4 mics because they were 4 mic albums, or do you think it's because they were out of LA? And all respect to De La Soul, and I love De La Soul. I think that De La Soul is Dead is a 5 mic album. But that album gets 5 mics, and the Chronic gets what, 4? 4.5? I know Doggy Style got 4.
Yeah. Doggy Style got 4. Got 4.5.
Yeah. So I mean, let's just be real here. And even when you read the Doggy Style review, the nitpicking they got there, talking like Snoop wasn't over there on a solo mission, it's some bias coming in there, man. It is.
Hold on.
And it's fine. It just is what it is.
Keep on breaking it down, Mike, too. It's like, well, let's go to Death Certificate by Ice Cube, Mike.
Yeah.
Because when Bomb Squad, who are based out of New York, did America's Most, Mike, well, that's 5 mics.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, when he links back up with the homies back on the West Side, all of a sudden things are down a level or a notch. And Mike, you're the one, and this is one of the things that you switched over to me. You've been saying, like, Coop, go listen to Death Certificate and America's Most back to back. Tell me what's better. And one day I actually did, and I was like, Mike, you're right. I'm like, Death Certificate is better than America's Most. But you want to know who never said that? The East Coast media that was rating those 2 albums. I wonder why.
Well, Cube literally went to New York to record America's Most. It got 5 mics. You know, and then when Death Certificate comes out, which is, I mean, I love Bomb Squad. You know how I feel about PE and Bomb Squad. I think Death Certificate is just the better album. Cube is better. The production's better. The singles are better. It's more range on there. It's more depth on there. And it has no Vaseline on there. So you're telling me that this is the 5 mic album, but when he went back to the West Coast, that one's not, huh? There's some bias in there, and that's fine. It's just we have to acknowledge these things. I know Mad Max is from the East Coast. He don't want to acknowledge it. Yeah.
Mike, Project Pat's Mr. Don't Play got 3 mics.
No, 2.5.
2.5. I thought it was 3. I'm
they
sorry.
Gave Project Pat.
Mr. Don't Play.
No, not Mr. Don't Play. They gave Getty Green 2.5 mics.
There we go. No,
It's
I'm
laughable.
Don't Play. They only gave Mr. Don't Play 3 mics.
Did they? Wow. That's laughable, man.
Mr. Don't Play got 3 mics?
That's
Mike,
crazy.
think about all the stuff. Hold on. I want you to think about some of their 4.5.
That's a Southern classic, man.
Mike, they gave 400 Degrees 4 mics.
Look, man.
Don't tell me that ain't no damn East Coast bias, Mike.
Listen, Coop, let's rewind that.
No, I'm not finished. I got one more album I'd like to bring up, Mike.
Go ahead.
These motherfuckers had the nerve to give the Diary 4 mics.
Yeah.
They got a lot of nerve. Don't tell me ain't no East Coast bias exists. The Diary got 4 mics.
The first album that got 5 mics out of the source that wasn't made in New York or wasn't from an East Coast artist was Akumani. And that's because Outkast called them out, and it came out the same, well, it was in the same issue that Volume 2 was. And like I said in the show before this, Outkast boxed them in. Obviously, Big Boy was pushing that whole, they got gypped for half a mic on Southern Playalistic and calling them out on Skew It on the Barbie, which featured Raekwon, so they heard it. And on top of that, it's coming out in the same issue that Jay's Volume 2 is coming out in. So this is the dilemma they have. Volume 1 got 4 mics, right? Volume 2 is supposed to be bigger and better, Jay. They couldn't sit there and give Volume 2 4 mics as well. So you're sitting here, you're going to give Volume 2 4.5, and you got to rate this Akumani monster. You're not going to give them the same rating. They had to give Akumani 5 mics. I truly believe that if Akumani came out in a different issue that wasn't attached to Volume 2 by Jay-Z, they would have given Akumani 4.5 mics. I truly believe that. If it would have just been in an issue by itself, where they didn't have to match it up with Volume 2, they would have given Akumani 4.5.
Mike, I'm not done. You want some more evidence of East Coast bias? Mike, One Day It'll All Make Sense by Common, 3.5 mics. Like
3.5 for that?
One Day It'll All Make Sense got 3.5 mics, Mike.
That's crazy.
Mike, Like Water for Chocolate only got 4. East Coast bias not real, Mike. Who the fuck walking around think Like Water for Chocolate is a 4 mic album? And One Day It All Makes Sense is 3.5 out of 5. Who walking around in hip hop circles talking this trash, Mike?
Right.
Who?
I wonder what they rated B.
Fascinating. I bet you it wasn't no 5 like it deserves.
And
They didn't give him the 5.
Even though The Fix by Scarface got 5 mics, it's his most East Coast centric album, period. And that's the only album he put out on Def Jam. It is what it is. Anime Bros podcast.
Mike, they did Chopper City in the Ghetto by BG 3.5 mics. Like, I'm just remembering all the bias. Chopper City 3.5 mic?
Anime Bros with the super chat says, I agree with what Coop said. People take Jay more seriously. I said to my friend, if Jay saying what Ye said, the quote-unquote community executives would be under pressure. Well, Jay wouldn't say what Ye said.
Correct.
Let me catch up with these super chats. I know we're really behind. Man, Max in the super chat says, Barry had 3 Hall of Fame linemen, Coop, and YouTube is free. I love the fact that Mad Max...
Did they all play at the same time? And were they in their primes when they played with them? Because Lomas Brown is actually the only all-pro offensive lineman Barry Sanders played with that I think made first-team all-pro while Barry Sanders was a starter, if memory serves me correct. So you kind of need to get your facts straight. Most of those guys were all-pros or Hall of Famers, either before Barry or after Barry, if memory serves. I was outside. Stop playing with me.
Jay Short with the super chat says, respectfully, compared to Scarface, Jay sounds like entertainment, too. You believe what Scarface said he experienced or would do. Yeah, Scarface is extremely believable. Project Pat's like that for me too. Like, I believe any and everything Project Pat says. JB was here with the super chat says, I sent the $10 super chat. Why isn't it showing up? Okay, well, what did you say, JB? I don't know why it's not showing up, man. YouTube playing games. Let me catch up with some of these. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Okay, here we go. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, just got here. Shout out to CJ Kidd checking in. We got a $20 super chat with 36 Chambers. He says, saying we hold Pop on a pedestal because he died is disingenuous at best and an outright lie at worst. Tupac represented the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful of hip-hop culture. No one else in hip-hop has the level of content or timelessness. I agree. And I think that having a Verzuz type of platform really exposes those things. So, you know, if people think it's just hype or you think it's just whatever, and this goes for any artist, pull out 20 of their joints. Put it up against anybody. I'm confident enough to put Tupac's catalog up against anybody. And I'm not even the biggest Pac fan like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just
and you
true.
want to know what, Mike? First of all, when I was going through these Biggie records, I was like, I need my guest appearances, and I don't like I need my guest appearances.
Right.
Second, I was like, no, that whole Chronic Doggy Style thing is real, because I was thinking Snoop the only really dude that can give this guy like a real problem right now.
And the only problem that Snoop would have against Pac is the content.
And he would probably lose to Snoop on. Snoop would probably lose to Pac on the content, because as great as that Chronic and Doggy Style stuff is, Mike, Lil Ghetto Boy, the closest thing he got to a Keep Your Head Up or a My Block or a Pour Out a Little Liquor or a Dear Mama or So Many Tears. It's like, no, it's hard, but he got some shit for Snoop's biggest records, because like Gin and Juice isn't necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like
Gin and Juice, as big as it is,
against Gin and Juice.
Gin and Juice, as big as it is, and same thing with What's My Name, it's not a problem for Pac. And that's not to diminish those records. It just lets you know how powerful this man's catalog is.
Yeah, he's made songs just as big, Mike. Yeah. That's why. Yeah. His star power is just as big.
And he was a movie star while he was doing this. Jay Short with the super chat says, folks in the chat acting like a person is supposed to take a high road after getting set up and shot. Crazy. Exactly. Crazy.
I didn't even want to touch it like that. That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, why is he rapping like that? It's like, well, he came to do a verse and they shot him in the elevator multiple times.
Listen, man, at the end of the day, I wasn't there, but the thing is, man, how am I going to talk against the person who actually experienced that shit? Based on what? Based on the people who denied certain things? He seemed pretty adamant about what happened to him.
Mike, when has you ever seen somebody in our community get shot and not shoot back?
Yeah. Mad Max with the super chat says he blamed Biggie, who had nothing to do with it, but it's okay for people in other states that can shoot and kill NY rappers. That's not West Coast bias, right? Listen, he didn't blame Biggie for anything other than the fact that he didn't get a heads up. And he owed him more respect than that. I think that's fair.
I don't even want to talk about this.
No, I feel you. Anime Bros podcast. I just wanted to get the narrative narrative that's all I'm saying.
The narrative ain't straight, Mike. The narrative ain't straight.
Anime Bros podcast with a super chat says, all right, he's a lyricist, just not a great one. Well, who is a great lyricist? That's what I want to know, and why. That's why we need definitions here. CJ Kid with the super chat says, sadder, more emotional song, Dear Mama or All I Got Is You. Great songs, both. Two totally different ones, but I'm going to have to say All I Got Is You is probably more sad and emotional, but I think Dear Mama is probably the better record overall.
I think the struggle of All That I Got Is You might tug on the heartstring more, but the connectivity of some of the things that he expresses on Dear Mama connects with a larger audience in a way that maybe All That I Got Is You doesn't. When he says stuff like, when I was sick as a little kid, to keep me happy, there's no limit to the things you did. And all my childhood memories are full of all the sweet things you did for me. Well, you don't have to be from the hood to understand that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad you pointed that out. That's what a lyricist does. These things are intentional for a writer. He could easily go into his own individual thing and just do things that him and people around him can relate. Him and people around him can relate to. But as a writer and as a great lyricist, he's able to extend that reach with his pen and using his voice and make things that are universally relatable and still give you the black experience at the same time. Jay Short with the super chat says, I'm not going to lie, Mike. I hear a lot of Big Daddy Kane and LL's bars and cadence. In those Mama Said Knock You Out years. Same producer, too. Listen, man, you ain't heard that from me. Uncle L, Future of the Funk. Let me get to some more super chats. Mad Max with the super chat says, Mike, Your same era didn't play us either. So what are we saying? It's the same everywhere. At the time, you guys said the South guys viewed you as weird for bumping New York stuff. It's true. But it wasn't like, don't listen to this person. Because Tupac was somebody that you have to make it intentional not to listen to. Now, I will say this. They weren't saying that about people like Biggie down here. Biggie got played. I was talking more so about the Wu-Tangs of the world, outside of Method Man, right?
And the Mobb Deeps of the world.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like that for Big.
Hold on. And I'm 41 years old, and niggas down here are still saying that to me, Mad Max. So stop thinking that that's not real. That's still getting said to me to this day. Like, even when I be around some of my Southern heads, they be like, well, you know, Coop like that East Coast shit. Like, he fuck with Wu-Tang and Mobb Deep. It's like, I be like, what? First of all, I'm right here. Don't do that while I'm right here. Wait till I leave like the rest of these motherfuckers do. But then it's just like, no, there's still even something comes with that. It's like, I'm from Charlotte and Atlanta, and people like, but you know, Coop like East Coast rappers. What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
The boom bap stuff. Mad Max with the super chat says, Captain Planet was my show as a kid. He's a hero.
He ain't all that. I didn't love Captain Planet, Mike. He was all right.
I like the concept, but yeah, I didn't really watch it.
The concept was good. He was corny, though.
Because my thing is, man, what can the Planeteers do on their own?
It really seemed. He seemed like a polite RoboCop. It's like he didn't murder. He tried to like save the Earth. It's like no. I like the dude with the pistol that's going out and like you're handling stuff that way. It's like this whole save the planet thing. It's like you need to talk to these white people about their politics.
He was very eco-friendly.
What make climate change is real.
I was gonna say he was very eco-friendly for back in the day because it really wasn't a lot of that talk back then. But yeah, I think that Captain Planet is a product of fighting against climate change and all that. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, the writer from The Source confirmed years later the Chronic should have been a 5-mic album, but they weren't allowed to give 5 mics back then per company policy. There you go. Because, even if you listen to the Chronic today, think about how that shit sounded in 1992. In December of 1992, they had heard nothing like it ever. And this is Dr. Dre. And you got G-Thang out there. And you got Let Me Ride out there. That's not 5 mics. But, and I say this respectfully. So, Let the Rhythm Hit Him is 5 mics. But the Chronic's not? Come on,
Are we smoking the Chronic when we're rating these albums?
Come on now.
Because that's the only thing that could.
And I love Let the Rhythm Hit Him.
I love Let the Rhythm Hit Him. Listen to what I'm about to say. People talk about Paid in Full, and they talk about Follow the Leader. But Mike, if we want to talk about the bar seminar, the mic performance, his mic performance might be the album Let the Rhythm Hit Him.
The song.
And I say this respectfully as somebody that loves Rakim, right, and loves Let the Rhythm Hit Him. It's not fucking with the Chronic and Doggy Style on its best day, Mike.
No. And see, I have no problem with Let the Rhythm Hit Him getting 5 mics, but I have a problem with the Chronic getting 4.5 and Doggy Style getting 4 if you're gonna get that 5.
Let the Rhythm Hit Him is a 5.
Yeah.
It's his last 5.
Yeah.
And so is the Chronic and Doggy Style.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, at the point that they gave Let the Rhythm Hit Him the 5, and then they heard the Chronic, 18 months later, they should have thought about it. It's like, well, shit, we might need to change the system.
Mm-hmm. Melvin Wright with the super chat says, that Project Pat rating was accurate. No, it wasn't.
You need to watch your tone.
East Coast bias,
you need to watch
man.
Your tone.
Shyster30 with the super chat says, I'm not much of a Pac fan like that, but dude is one of the greats. Jay-Z can't beat that guy. I mean, it's the music. The music sits now. If you want to sit here and tell me,
Mike.
If you want to sit here and tell me in a cipher who's probably gonna, out rap the next person, I'm picking Che. But if we're talking about the songs, niggas is in trouble, and that goes for everybody.
Hold on, Mike. If it's a problem for me with Big to play records like Juicy and Big Papa, you think Hard Knock Life and Do It Again and I Just Want to Love You Mike, I can beat you a Picture Me Rolling against Jay's biggest record.
I was gonna say,
I Just Want to Love You.
Name those records. Name those records again.
I can beat you a Picture Me Rolling.
Name those records again.
What? Do It Again, Hard Knock Life, I Just Want to Love You.
All right, I can beat Hard Knock Life with How Do You Want It, and that's not even like a top 10 pop record like that.
Done. It's not even a top 20 pop record.
I can beat Hard Knock Life, which many would say is his biggest record, with How Do You Want It. Does anybody not believe that?
Mike, forget that. Mike, you can beat it with California Love. You can beat Hard Knock Life with California Love. That's what I'm saying.
What does he have for California Love? Empire State of Mind? That's not gonna work.
Mike, Can I Get Her? You think this stuff gonna work against Pac? It's not.
No.
If you thought that, you were wrong.
Play Give It To Me and I'll play I Get Around. What we doing?
Done.
36 Chambers with the super chat says, also, don't get a, I'm sorry, he says, 36 Chambers also didn't get a 5. Blasphemous. Now, we've talked about that too. And 36 Chambers not getting a 5, I think that's a little Staten Island thing, man. And I think that New York bias is stretching from the popular boroughs. And I didn't think they were going to extend it to Staten Island. So honestly, you know what? Just to stay with Staten Island, 36 didn't get it. Only Built for Cuban Links didn't get it.
Keep going, Mike.
Come on, man.
Keep going, Mike. There are more. Liquid Swords
didn't get it. No. Supreme Clientele didn't get it.
No, Mike. I know the full Mike rundown. Into the Wu-Tang got 4.5. Takal got 4. Return to the 36 Chambers got 4. Only Built for Cuban Links got 4.5. Liquid Swords got 4. Iron Man got 4. They was too shook to even rate Wu-Tang Forever because they some suckers. The Pillage got 3.5.
No. Rewind. How did they get out of rating Wu-Tang Forever? Like, how does that even happen?
They some suckers.
What was the reason?
Like, they came up with a specialty issue literally around the time Wu-Tang Forever was coming out that was like discussing hip-hop. It's like they did like, Mike, they did like a hip-hop is this old type of list, like for that issue.
What? How do you rate Life After Death that you don't rate Wu-Tang Forever?
Mike, I'm going to say it again because they shook and they some suckers. That's what suckers do. Suckers do sucker shit, Mike. Like, I don't believe what nobody tell me. I only believe you what you show me. Are you listening to the ratings of these albums?
Well, I want to know from somebody, because I know a lot of people watch our show, right? I want to know from somebody at the source. Hold on, real quick. I want to know from somebody at the source or somebody who was around the source exactly why Wu-Tang Forever did not get rated in the source. I want to know the actual reason because they've never stated a reason, have they?
Mike, because they had already been pissing on them, and pissing on them one more time would have caused anarchy because by the time 97 rolled around, they was running this rap shit outside of Big. And so about that and about the momentum of it, that's what I'm saying. They literally had not given these guys a 5 yet. And so they felt pressure just within the own neighborhood of New York about the 5 for Wu-Tang Forever. And they tucked they tails and hid like some bitches about it. Because that's what happened. I don't want to hear what nobody had to say.
I want to know why.
When it was going on, you was quiet like a bitch. That's what Prodigy said about Jay. You know what I'm saying? The same rules apply to this shit right here. When it was time to rate the album, you was quiet like a bitch because you had already shitted on them. They gave Into the Wu-Tang 4.5. That's a 5 mic album. They probably properly rated Takal and Return as 4s. Maybe Return is a 4.5. Maybe, depending on who you ask. Purple Tape is the easiest 5 that maybe they missed since the Chronic and Doggy Style, Mike.
Yeah,
it's
that's
ridiculous and absurd that they did that.
That's
it's so
absurd.
Disrespectful.
They hit records on there too.
And Mike, and I'm going to tell you the worst thing they ever did because they did Cuban Links wrong. They further did Liquid Swords an even greater injustice. They had the nerve to rate that album a 4.
I think Only Built for Cuban Links, in my personal opinion, may be the most lyrical for all the quote-unquote lyricist guys out there. Might be the most lyrical hip-hop album ever.
Mike, it's Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em. Mike, in terms of most lyrical albums ever, Mike, it's like Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em. It was written Liquid Swords. It's that type of Mike performance. A 4, that's some of Mike.
No, I'm saying Only Built for Cuban Links.
The Fourth Chamber and shadow boxing on this album, Mike. I just got some questions.
No.
Living in the World Today, Duel of the Iron Mike, investigative reports, labeled. Like, are we smoking crack cocaine here? They gave the album a 4. So they gave Iron Man a 4, Mike. crack cocaine, Mike.
Now, I think
Niggas
Liquid
was all up
Swords
in
one of
their
the most
highs,
lyrical
slippery,
albums
snorting.
ever, too. I think Liquid Swords one of the most lyrical albums ever, too. But I think Only Built for Cuban Links might be the most lyrical hip-hop album I've ever heard because everybody came in there and stepped it all the way
See,
up.
I'm talking about like solo mic
No,
performance.
I got
hear
you.
I
I'm
hear
just
you. I
talking
hear
about
you.
on
No,
a
no, I
tour
hear
de
you.
force of Deck, Jizza, Nas. You know what I'm saying? Like Meth,
All of their best
RZA,
verses are on there, Mike. And all their
everything.
best verses
I
are on there.
think
That shit
you
crazy.
God's best verses on that album. Kappa's on
I think
there
the only guy
going
whose
crazy.
best verse is not on there, Mike, might be Meth.
And Meth came with one of the greatest hooks ever.
No, Mike, his verse is crazy. Like Mike, if his verse, how about this? If Nas don't get hip hop quotable for verbal intercourse, it probably was gonna be Meth for Wu Gambino's, Mike.
Yeah, scriptures hit the body
If I'm
like
not
sawed-off
mistaken,
shot.
Mike, if I'm not mistaken, Inspector Deck got Rhyme of the Month for Guillotine too. Like, think about how many like hip hop quotables are on this album, Mike. Mike, Deck's verse might not even be the best verse on Guillotine. Niggas was arguing about the Jizz's verse back in the day. The nigga don't get mad. I got mad styles of my own, and it's shown when my hands grip the chrome microphone. Verbally, I catch bodies with cordless shotties. Intriguing MCs, I keep them trained like potties. I bomb facts. My sword is in vax. It's invisible. Like Dope Fiend tracks. Sky's the limit. Niggas is timid. And nobody knows how we lurk like wolves in sheep clothes producing data. Microchips and software. Underground and off air. The land of the lost. Notorious hits me from the north. Striking niggas with a Mason-Dixon line cross. What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, man.
The song 5 mics. When you heard Guillotine, it's like I'm giving this album 5 mics.
The production, the lyricism, and all of these albums that we're mentioning have classic cuts on them and classic hit records on them. The
Mike,
way
we're
that
still
the
arguing
source,
about our Mike. You and I are still arguing about our favorite songs on these albums as grown ass men, like we are teenagers again.
you know, the fact that the source didn't give 36 Chambers, Liquid Swords, Supreme Clientele, Only Built for Cuban Links, 5 mics, and didn't rate Wu-Tang Forever at all, we should have been questioning their credibility a long time ago. That shit is super suspect.
And Mike, Iron Man is a 4.5.
Yeah, that's
You
super
could say
suspect.
Return to the 36 Chambers might be a 4.5. That's why I'm saying, yeah, they've been fucking up.
But I want an official statement of why they did not rate Wu-Tang Forever. That makes no sense in 1997. I don't understand it. CJ Kid with the super chat says Tupacalypse got 3 mics. Strictly for My Niggas got 3.5 mics. Thug Life got 3 mics. Me Against the World got 4 mics.
4 mics.
All Eyes on Me had no rating.
Yep.
See, bullshit again, right? How do you not rate All Eyes on Me? That was the most anticipated album of the whole year. And it was the first double disc, period, in hip hop. Like, so how do you not rate that? I didn't even think about that. How do you not rate that, but you rate Life After Death? Nah, I want to know why they didn't rate that album too. Is that I think they said F. Machiavelli due to the Tupac beefing with New York at that point. Yeah, I guess they didn't rate Machiavelli either. We need answers. And you want to say this? There's no journalistic bias, Mad Max? Come on now. How do you not rate All Eyes on Me? That's fucking crazy.
You want to know what? Just the fact that the Wu-Tang thing is one thing. The All Eyes on Me thing is like...
That's insane. How do you not rate that album? Mad Max with the super chat says, y'all blaming NY because of Boston dudes. No. Don't put this on Boston. The source was operating out of New York City. Let's just call it what it is.
In the 90s, Mike, in the 80s and 90s, and not just the source, most media outlets that are reaching the masses are operating out of what city, Mike?
New York City. Their whole staff is living in New York City. They're going day to day to those offices in New York City. Boston has nothing to do with this, bro.
Right, Mike. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm from the west side of Charlotte, North Carolina, Mike. Where according to hip hop based at?
Atlanta.
When I talk to an artist, where do I tell them I'm based out of?
Atlanta.
Where do we do our work out of?
Atlanta.
Ain't nobody talking about no goddamn Charlotte when I'm pulling up on no artist, Mike. I'm not in Charlotte. The fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, just because Benzino's from Boston and Dave Mays is from Boston, they operated out of New York and their staff was in New York and they were feeling the New York energy and they were dealing with New York people from day to day. So yeah, Boston has nothing to do with this.
Look, listen here. They went to New York for a reason, Mike. They knew they couldn't do what they needed to do in Boston.
Yeah, it's the media capital. It's the smartest thing to do.
What are we talking about? It's literally the media capital, not just Mike, not just in this hemisphere, but in all hemispheres.
In the world, yes. Mr. J. Davis with the super chat. Mr. J. Davis with the super chat says, Big and Pac passing when I was 6. Big and Pac passed when I was 6. He says, I'm from New York, and at that age, Pac came off as a bully to me. My older brother only listened to Big. I listened to my first Pac album in 2022. Media made me not like Pac. Thank you for your testimony, sir. There's a lot of people like that. And you know what? And it's funny, man. Back then, Pac used to always harp on the fact that, ain't no East Coast, West Coast. It's just an issue between two people. This is all media driven. And he was right. He was the only one talking like that, by the way. Everybody else was kind of, getting the record sales they could get off of it.
Hold on. And do you want to know why that is? Because when Pac was saying that, he had been platinum so many times and he was already a big movie star. Ready to Die was 1.5 and Craig Mack's album Project Funk the World was gold. Pac was doing that in 93 was strictly for my niggas. Like that shit was going double, triple. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when he's speaking about like him not needing to, he's really talking shit, letting you know, nah, fam, I got gold singles, platinum records, platinum albums, big movies on the movie screen without this beef. What about them?
CJ Kid with the super chat.
Factual or not? Factual or not?
It is
Don't
what it
tell me
is.
there ain't no bias.
CJ Kid with the super chat says, can I borrow $1 resurrection and one day it'll all make sense? All got 3.5 mics. Like Water for Chocolate got 4 mics and B got 4.5 mics. Wow.
How can you hear B and hear Resurrection and tell me that those are 3.5s and 4.5s?
I truly believe if Common was from Brooklyn, he would have gotten 5 for B. That's just my opinion.
Like, if he's from Brooklyn, he got 2 5s. He got like Water for Chocolate and B if he's from Brooklyn. That's how real the bias is.
I mean, I need somebody to explain why All Eyes on Me didn't get rated. It was the biggest album that year. Gary Pierce would. They
did not struggle to rate the score by the Fugees, Iron Man, Philadelphia Half-Life, ATLiens, Muddy Waters, Hell on Earth. It was written, Reasonable Doubt. They literally did every major review that year except All Eyes on Me. Do not tell me that there's not a bias, and do not tell me that Pac is not that nigga. With a big picture hanging on my wall, do not tell me that Pac is not that nigga.
Gary Pierce with the super chat says, with a $20 super chat, we put some respect on that. He says, I'm an NY, born and raised in St. Albans. Homeboy, The Tribe, LL, and Nas to the fullest. Big is my guy, though. I bought the Source religiously, but they were biased as hell. Media been on some BS. Barry over Emmett, by the way. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. And for whatever reason, and I think it's that Fifth Borough thing with Staten Island, they gave Wu-Tang that bias too. Because the way they rated them is criminal.
It's horrendous, man. They rated them like they was from Compton.
Yeah, man. But you know what that reminds me of? What they did coming out of Staten Island is kind of like what Griselda's doing out of Buffalo. People treat them like they're not from New York for real.
You want to know what I'm saying? Because you want to know what it was back then? Because Ray done spoke about it. Oh, you got to catch the boat to get over here.
Yeah.
So you're not a part of us, really. They made the best rap music, Mike. In rap's greatest era, Wu-Tang Clan made the most classic albums, Mike, over everybody, including Dre and Snoop.
I can agree with that. It's
they made more classics than Bad Boy and Death Row. How about that?
They did.
Death Row and Bad Boy don't have more classics than Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang will wax both of their asses.
And the way that Wu did it, by committee, was just different, man. They did it as a collective, and when they, spread out as individuals. And they teamed up when you got Ray and Ghost. It's amazing.
When Ghostface Killah is the 5th solo album that released, everybody else is in trouble.
Yeah. Let's see. Anime Bros podcast with the super chat says, basic rhyme schemes. Where's the syllables? Do we need
Picture
to?
Perfect. I paint a perfect picture. Bomb my hoochies with incisions by intentions to get whistle with the S and double OP. Dog my fucking hump. There you go. Picture perfect. I paint a perfect picture. Bomb my hoochies with intentions. My precision took it. Like, what do you want? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, no. He do that.
He give you everything you want. 36 Chambers says, people hear mom's spaghetti and say it's syllables. Shaking my head. Rhymes is heavy. Mom's spaghetti. Arms already. Leroy Green with the super chat says, in a lot of hip hop heads' minds, a lyricist has great technical word mechanics, punches, entendres, metaphors, schemes, setups. That wasn't Pac's bag. This is why I say the things that I say about the Eminem thing. Because, Coop, I never heard this talk until Eminem came around. I never heard this type of stuff. Did you remember hearing that type of stuff growing up? Like, we looked at Deck's verse on Triumph as a dope verse because we knew that was Deck's style. But nobody's sitting here breaking down syllables and all this other shit, saying, oh yeah, Deck's better than fucking, Ray or something. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that. It was a feel. And even the stuff that Big was doing on, like, Everyday Struggle, we just knew the shit was dope. Nobody was sitting there breaking down. You hear the syllables that he's doing right here. Heard Tech got murdered in a town I never heard of. You know what I mean? Like, nobody was doing that. That's that Eminem talk, bro.
Yeah. I mean,
it's dangerous.
Sometimes I say this, Mike, and I literally mean this. Sometimes I think that our people are so gifted. Sometimes we are doing things that we do not know how to do. And so I say this, Mike, and
we didn't put rules to. We're doing things on a feeling, and other people come in from the outside and put rules to it.
Well not. This is what I'm about to say. Mm-hmm. No, Mike, they don't put rules to it. There are fundamental literary rules that existed long before hip hop existed. But listen to what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
We are literally so talented as a people that we can be untrained on all those things, but be gifted and talented as a writer and implore them with ease without knowing.
Look at Jazz. Look at Jazz.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So when you're talking about these literary devices, understand, Mike, and I say this in all seriousness, it's like, oh, I knew what literary devices were as somebody that was trained formally how to write. But Mike, I never thought about any of that shit when I ever wrote a rhyme. It just fucking happens because when you're actually good at it, guess what's going to happen when you're good as a writer? The literary devices, the alliterations, the metaphors, the assonance, the dissonance, the double entendres, the syncopization of the flow. No, those things are going to fucking happen when you actually have talent, even if you don't know how to do it formally.
Exactly.
You do not have to know how to do it formally to execute it.
Biggie wasn't trained to do what he did on Everyday Struggle. He just did it. You know what I'm saying? He just did it.
Do you think Nas is a formally trained writer at 17, 18 years old, writing New York State of Mind and then recording it a year later? Do you think he's formally trained? He dropped out of high school in the 10th grade.
Yeah.
Rappers, I monkey flip them with the funky rhythm I be kicking. Musician, inflicting composition.
I mean, let's look at Rakim.
You think he learned that in fucking PS 80, whatever it is? Get the fuck out of here.
Have you heard that clip of Rakim rhyming? I want to say it was in like 85 or 86 in the lunchroom with Biz Markie. Like, nigga, he just has it. Like, no one taught him that. He just has it.
That. You can't teach that.
You can't teach that.
You got that. That's in the bag. I sit alone in my four-corner room staring at candles. Like, no. You can't teach that shit.
Shit's wild, man. Percy Miller with the super chat, says, being raised by a single mom, dear mama pulls at the heartstrings. Play it every Mother's Day.
But this is what I'm saying. How many of us come from single mother homes like I do? I'm like you, man. When Dear Mama comes on, it's like, there are parts of that song that relate directly back to me and my mother. That's what I mean about he's the king of the timeless themes. Like Mike, even how do you want it? How do you want it? How does it feel? Coming up as a nigga in the cash game, living in the fast lane now for real. Tell me that's still not applicable.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't even grow up with a single mother. I had both parents. And that motherly love that you're always going to have for your mother, that connects. Period. Like, it's back to what you said. He was able to make music from his lens and do it in a way where everybody could feel it. Now, that's a talented writer right there.
No, and also, too, Mike.
Talented lyricist. Let me say that for the conversation.
And also, too, Mike, let's look at the pressure the man was under. He writing Dear Mama, Mike, facing a case, then shot a couple police officers, got a sexual assault charge against him, Niggas done shot him up in a motherfucking studio.
Yeah, shit's different, man. He's on a whole different
And
plane. And let me also say this.
Mike, he's finding a way through all of that emotionally to channel the love that he has for his mother and share it with us. That is the epitome of what a lyricist is.
That's insane.
What the fuck are we talking about?
And doing movies at the same time, right? And again, I know some of the things that Gip is out here saying shock certain people, but this is the lens that he's seeing it from. Like everything that you said, he saw all of this happening. He probably like, yo, how is this nigga doing all of this?
Hold on. If you want some further evidence from somebody that's not from the South, let's go to Nas on I Am. Will there ever be another MC as nice? Have you ever heard Nas talk about anybody else like that on record?
Yeah.
Did he not say that about Pac on record in 98, 99?
Yeah.
Will there ever be another MC as nice? That's Nas saying that.
Yeah.
What more credibility in 2023 do you need to hear? Because Mike, you want to talk about a motherfucker that was really like outside and seen it up close. You feel what I'm saying?
Seen it all, yeah.
And he feels, Mike, that's Nas feeling that way shortly after his passing.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that shit not real.
Yeah. Gary Pierce with the $20 super chat showing love says, many consider the cypher raps to lyricists. By that measure, then Pac isn't a top lyricist, but the man is still the GOAT. 25 years later, the source/media bias is crazy. I'm New York City born and raised. Lots of albums got jerked. Yeah, it seems like a lot of the albums that came outside of the four prominent boroughs got jerked, though. Mm-hmm. Mad Max with the super chat.
Hold on. Listen to what I'm saying. And listen to how funny they are, Mike. Well, Rakim may be from Long Island, but where did he record most of his projects, Mike?
In Queens.
Hello.
Yeah.
Say less.
Because Eric B is from Queens.
Say less,
yeah.
Mike.
And he's in the group. It's their group.
Say less, Mike.
Yeah.
Where my melody get recorded again?
That was in Queens, I thought. I could
Molly
be wrong.
crib, right? In the fucking bridge.
Yeah. Right. All of that. Mad Max with the super chat says, lies. Big gave him a heads up. Pac said that Biggie told him, watch them. Pac was running around with bad dudes. P&B and get the heads up. Pop Smoke didn't. I think you're quoting something from the Biggie movie, Notorious. I don't know if it went down just like it went down in the Notorious movie. Respectfully, Mad Max. Chris Daughtery with the super chat says, guys, to show you how content matters, Nas beat Biggie on y'all YouTube votes handily. That you posted. That you posted, Mike, from the Patreon. Oh, yeah. I think when we did that a while back. I mean, content does matter. Jay Short with the super chat says that NY bias was far-reaching. You had artists, journalists, and DJs out west being compromised, afraid of NY media backlash. NY still mad at 40 and corrupt.
So this is what I go back to something too. I keep going back to my interview with the Glove because Blueprint Plans, Mike, and shout out to the Glove. Mm-hmm. Remember when I asked him if he ever met Havoc, and he was like, "No, I know Nas. I don't really know." Like he pretty much was saying, like around that time, if a New York artist wasn't willing to come to LA, we wasn't about to go to New York. Like, you want to know why he's saying that, Mike? Because the love wasn't real.
Yeah. You
feel me?
I mean, you even heard what Easy Mo B said about the last time he saw Tupac. Did you hear that story? Easy Mo B said he pulled up at a light, and this is after he made, Straight Ballin'. He made Temptations. What was the other record he made? If I Die Tonight on Me Against the World. And he said he saw Pac at the light, and, he's trying to be like, yo, what up? Pac looked over at him and just sped off, man. And he said at that point he knew just because of the New York affiliation, he didn't trust him anymore. And he's like, he didn't feel a way about it. He just understood what was going on.
Right. But why would Pac feel that way? This is before the beef popped off. This is before he got shot and all that. Because Pac used to be in New York. He knew how real the bias was. It's like, oh, you fucking with the nigga that I schooled to the shit.
Yeah. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, Guillotine's my favorite hip-hop song of all time. aged so
Tour de
well.
force.
Yeah,
Tour de
man,
force.
Guillotine's fucking crazy.
What?
I mean, when the song
that's
starts
a flawless
off,
rap, Mike. That might be the best posse cut ever. If you really
It's
want
one
to
of
know the
them.
truth, I don't know. I don't know if there's a song where 4 dudes come off the way those dudes for.
I mean, when a
come
nigga
off,
starts
man.
off a record, poison his paragraph, smash the phonograph in half, and be the inspector deck on the warpath. It's like,
Mike,
okay, where we going?
When have Ray and Ghost been on a track together and they have the third and fourth verse? Like, in terms of like where you would rank the ranking of the verse. When has that happened to them on a record?
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. But when you got
Mike, that's the time it
Deck
happened.
starting off a record and just a closing the record, it could happen.
And you got Ray and Ghost in the middle?
Yeah. Jay Short with the super chat says Cameron or Kiss can sell out a show in Cali. Quick or 40 couldn't sell out a show in New York. Snoop and Kendrick, Short, and maybe Cube. Only the West Coast artists are the only West Coast artists who could sell out New York slots solo.
Hold on.
New Yorkers still biased.
Hold on, Mike.
Is that how you feel out west?
If people ain't biased, Mike, why the fuck is there footage of Snoop being at the Source Awards saying, y'all don't got no love for Snoop Dogg, y'all don't got no love for the West Coast, y'all don't got no love for Death Row? Now, what's going on that might make Snoop say that?
Well, play devil's advocate here. This is after Dr. Dre wins the award for Producer of the Year. Now, granted, who else should win,
Producer
right?
of the Year. He made Doggy Style. The fuck are we talking about?
Who else should win, right?
East Coast niggas and your production skill. Doggy Style, the end.
And so when Dr. Dre wins Producer of the Year at the Source Awards that is in New York, he takes the stage to accept the award and he gets booed. So when Dr. Dre gets booed for winning Producer of the Year, something's going on.
You were booing Dr. Dre for executive producing Doggy Style.
No bias.
And there ain't no bias, Mike.
Bias. Nah.
Mike, if there was ever live footage of the bias being real, roll the fucking clip of Dre and Snoop at the motherfucking Source Awards.
After
Before
Dre
Suge
wins
said
Producer
anything,
of the Year.
Because why the fuck you think Suge said something, Mike?
Yeah. Darren Harris with the super chat says,
you fuck around with street niggas and you keep putting them in pressure situations. You're gonna be like, you want to know it since you want to feel that way. Fuck them niggas. Come to death row.
Coop, do me a favor real quick.
Since you mad.
Do me a favor real quick, Coop. Can you find out who was nominated for Producer of the Year with Dre on there? So I want to know who y'all think should have won.
RZA, nobody else has a viable conversational argument, Mike. Unless it's RZA.
Darren Harris with the super chat says, I can speak for all eyes on me. No advance copies. Oh, is that what happened? No advance copies?
Why would that be, Mike? Why would that be?
They're trying to prevent that bootleg.
Could it be the 3.5 and the 4 mics that you keep handing Tupac on top of the fact that you're literally putting his competition on the cover of the magazine while he's in prison and saying he's the king of New York? Maybe that has something to do with it.
This is my thing, Darren. Do you think that even after the album comes out, they still shouldn't rate it? Or was the policy to only rate albums that you get advance copies for? 36 Chambers with the super chat says, if Common was from Brooklyn, then B is a top 10 all-time album. The lyrics, the content, timeless themes, production, and storytelling on B is amazing. I think B, in my personal opinion, I got B over the Blueprint. That's just me. 36 Chambers says, with the other super chat says, okay, hyperbole, B is top 20-ish. Okay. Let's see. We got Mr. Handsomeish with the super chat says, Wu-Tang Forever was a double album. Let's not forget. No, we're not going to forget it, but so was Life After Death.
And All Eyes on Me.
Yeah, if that's the reason for not rating it. Gary Pierce with the super chat says, Wu-Tang were those dudes. Even Pac didn't diss them. And he dissed everyone. Yeah, Pac was cool.
I forgot, Mike. Outkast won Best Rap Group at that Source Awards, and what happened to them?
They got booed. And you see who they were up against.
Straight. So the best rap group that ever came out of the South got booed when they went to New York for the Source Awards. Arguably the greatest hip-hop producer ever and the greatest producer come out of the West Coast got booed in New York at the Source Awards. But we tripping saying there ain't no bias?
I think Outkast won Best New Rap Group or something like that.
Yeah, Best New Group. Yeah. They won Best New Group. The South got something to say.
Who was supposed to win that? Like, who were they up against?
Ain't nobody beating Outkast in 94 Best New Group out of New York. Wu-Tang Clan came out the year before.
Yeah, so that's not even... Yeah, so who was actually nominated with them? 36 Chambers with the super chat says, I don't think breaking down syllables is a bad thing. Fans analyze and break down everything, every medium. Music is no different. I love multi-syllable rhymes, and it isn't because of Eminem. Hip-hop has evolved. It's kind of become like a data thing, like basketball has. Everything is analytics. So I guess syllables and all of that are hip-hop analytics.
We're gonna have to find the actual list, but here are the winners. And this is what I mean. It's like, well, you can't boo these guys when you're giving these guys awards. Artist of the Year, Snoop Doggy Dogg. Group, Wu-Tang. Solo artist, Biggie. New artist, Outkast. Single, Flavor in Your Ear. Album, Ready to Die. Lyricist, Big. Producer, Dre. So I think RZA would probably be his biggest competition because I think they're thinking about the 93, 94 run, and he's got Meth and Dirty's album in 94.
I found it real quick if you want to hear the nominees.
I would love to hear it, Mike,
okay,
they gave
new
EDE
artist,
a Lifetime Achievement Award.
All right, so New Artist of the Year group. Outkast won that. Their competition was Bone, LL Scratch, and Smith & Wesson.
So Bone was their competition?
Yeah, and Bone probably would have got booed too, right? All right.
They knew they were connected to Easy, probably.
Yeah. Shoot. Producer of the Year, Dr. Dre, DJ Premier, Easy Mo B, and Pete Rock. Those are the nominees. All great producers. But at that juncture, Dre wins.
Ain't none of them dudes ever made a Doggy Style next.
So I guess people would have been cool with... I think if Premier wins that, Dre is being robbed. You know what I'm saying? Like...
Premier don't have... Okay, so Premier, what? Hard to Earn is 94?
Yeah.
Okay.
And his work on Illmatic.
And Ready to Die.
Unbelievable.
So we're talking about 4 records between Illmatic and Ready to Die. And Hard to Earn, right? No, that ain't enough for Doggy Style, Mike.
Nah.
I'm sorry. That's what I'm saying. We just need to call spade a spade. Yeah, I mean, I love Preem. No.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's Moment of Truth. How about this, Mike? If it's 94 and Moment of Truth is getting released and he has those 3 Nas records on Illmatic and the Biggie record on Ready to Die, then. But not for Hard to Earn.
But see, this is the thing, though. They didn't even give Nas Album of the Year or Lyricist of the Year for Illmatic. So you can't expect Preem to get any of that. You know what I mean?
Kind of took Preem out of the running.
Yeah, I mean, when you take Illmatic out of the running, you take Preem out of the running for that.
You're right, Mike. I never thought about it that way, but that's a very astute observation. You're absolutely correct about that.
Jay Short with the super chat says, funny how those fans who use Lyrical Miracle as a standard never mention Tretch as a GOAT. Wonder why. Yeah, because if you want to be
man.
Yeah, because Tretch was doing all those patterns, actually. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, to M's credit, he has referenced Tretch as the reason that he got into hip-hop. M said that Yoke the Joker is the song that inspired him to want to rap.
I can see that. Actually, you want to know what?
M is a student of the game.
I can see the Tretch. Hold on, think about this, because Redman is his other inspiration, so he's looking at them Jersey dudes. So I can totally
That's
see
how
that.
He ended up with the Outsiders, I would imagine.
I'm about to say,
he took a trip.
Actually, no, Mike, when you're saying this, listen to what I'm saying. When you look at his multiple syllabic flow, and then you look at his crazy antics, tell me that's not the combination of Tretch and Redman.
It is.
So there's some actual real, yeah.
And that's kind of the Outsiders, too. I used to love Young Z and Pace One. Like, I got introduced to them on The Score, on Cowboys. And I was like, who are these guys, man? Love the Outsiders. But yeah, his style is kind of a derivative of them as well. So whoever made that connection, I've never heard the story of how that connection was actually made, but that was a perfect marriage for him.
No, I like it.
Gary Pierce with the super chat says, Dear Mama to Me still is the greatest hip-hop song, period. Something about that song. I was raised by 2 parents, and that song still hits to the chest. Definitely. That's what Pac stuff does, man. I feel like I'm almost done with these super chats and we can move on, but I think this is a great conversation that, turned into something that we didn't even know it was going to turn into. But, welcome to A2HH Live. That's how we do it. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, James Duet Yancey documentary coming on FX and Hulu next month. Shout out to Dilla, rest in peace. Dilla, very exciting. In your opinion, What's the absolute best produced Dilla track? Oh man, I have so many.
Stop that.
But to me, I'm just gonna go back to the record that made me like, my antennas went up when I heard it, because I'd already heard Stakes is High, obviously Running and Drop and all that stuff and the Tribe stuff, but Players off of Fantastic from Slum Village, that beat was crazy. I remember when I heard that, I was like, yo, what is this?
Not that one. I think it's the same album, Mike, and I'm trying to find the song.
Climax or Get This Money is hard too. I freestyle.
Might be Climax. I need to see the album in order of songs. You know what I'm saying?
Hold Tight's remix is insane too. Jay Short with the super chat says, if that Black Hippie Collective was from New York, they would have been a hip hop Beatles. But New York media only gravitated to K-Dot because he has a New York cadence. I feel like that about Andre 3000. And I say this respectfully. I think New York media really gravitates to him, one, for the source speech, and because I think that his style is very palatable for New York listeners. You know what I'm saying? And I love Dre. I think Dre is an incredible lyricist. He was my favorite rapper growing up. I say that all the time. But I think his style really connects with New Yorkers, and I think that's why he gets elevated so far above his southern counterparts. You know what I mean? Including Big Boy. There's no real reason for people to elevate Dre as far as they do above Big Boy. You know what I mean? It's not. Big Boy has the solo work. He's on all these Outkast records. He's clearly the, mind behind many of the great hooks that we love Outkast for, but he doesn't have a style lyrically that's palatable for the New York listener in the way that Dre does.
No, so this is what I mean. Neither did Pimp C.
Yeah.
You know what
Pimp
I mean?
C didn't give a fuck either. He said, no, I'm not going to make things that are palatable for you. We make country rap tunes down here. Y'all can call what y'all doing hip hop. We make what we make down here.
Right, and Big Boy is kind of like Pimp C in that vein. He doesn't say it the way Pimp does, but he make shit for the folks down here. And if you don't like it, then you know what I mean? Well,
Right. Fuck it. Because even when we talk about Dre's feature run or whatever you want to call it, I don't even know if Dre's features outside of the stuff that he's done with Big Boy even trumps Big Boy's individual features without Dre. I don't.
You watched the Instagram post the Big Boy was doing about the years of his feature runs that somebody documented?
Yeah, his feature
runs. They were breaking them up in little 5-year increments of all his feature runs, and I'm thinking well, shit, his feature run better than Dre feature run too.
Because his features were actually hit singles. You got the record with Slick Rick. You got the record with Trick. You know what I'm saying? Draw in the Wind. You got All in My Grill. These are singles.
Well, also too, Mike, this is what I mean. Competitively speaking, he will get up and do records with other people in their prime. I'm going to say this again. Not his best, but his most impressive guest appearance might be the I'm So Hood remix, Mike. He's got the best verse, and all those other young dudes are in their prime.
Yeah.
And he's rapping better than them on that record. And
he's a better rapper
than me that look, Mike, they're all rapping to that record one way, and the pro in him that's been in the game longer than all of them heard something different, totally freaked his flow and fucked them up. His flow is succinctly different from everybody else on this song. Like Mike, and you know this as a writer, you can sometimes tell how people approach the record. And it's no. Everybody approached that record with their style except for him. He found a new style.
Yeah.
Why, the B-I-G, the B-I, that be me. No, he was doing shit on that record. Yeah. No, well, Andre show his ass like this on a record with 6 dope-ass MCs like this? Because we don't have evidence of it.
Youngblood's 85. These are hit singles. You know what I'm saying?
85 is a classic, Mike.
Yeah. And honestly, when we look at the stuff that Dre does with people.
Classic.
Yeah. When we look at the stuff that Dre does with people, these are album songs like 16 and up. Sorry.
16. No, I love 16.
I love these records. But when we talk about the records that were actually singles, These are Big Boy features.
Trick Daddy, Big Boy, that's a single. This is what I mean. How about this? When the last time you heard Andre and CeeLo rapping together? Because that's CeeLo closing up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Big Boy raps with CeeLo all the time.
Right.
I think the only times that we got Dre and CeeLo together was on Thought Process and
In Due Time.
Get Up, Get Out. CeeLo didn't really rap on In Due Time.
Right?
No. When they're rapping together, and I would say Trans DF Express.
And Watch for the Hook.
Okay, everybody's on there though. So,
okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Critical Mass with the super chat says, please do me a favor and pull up verse 2 from Holla If You Hear Me, and read it out and put this Pac's not a lyricist technical rapper argument to bed. You want to pull that out before we
I have no problem with that at all. Familiar with the record. This one's strictly for my niggas.
Yeah. AB Studio with the super chat says, how do you feel about Pac complaining to Vibe magazine saying Biggie's Ready to Die album was his style and player persona?
Because it's the truth.
He was venting in that interview. You could hear his blueprints all over that album.
Because it's the truth.
Yeah.
People need to accept the truth. Big style, the whole make a street record, and then make a record for the chicks. Where do you think he got that from?
Yeah.
Like where? Go look around before Big and tell me who's doing that other than Tupac.
Yeah.
Like what are we talking about? This is what I mean. People be bugging. He said verse 2?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Andre Shashir with the super chat says Jay Dilla beat for Keith Murray's song The Rhyme remix put me on to him before I realized that he did stuff with Tribe. Man, rest in peace, Dilla. I can't wait for this documentary. You got the verse up?
Pump your fists like this. Holla if you hear me, pump, pump if you're pissed. To the sellouts living it up. One way or another, you'll be giving it up, huh? I guess because I'm black born, I'm supposed to say peace, sing songs, and get capped on. But it's time for a new plan. Bam. I'll be swinging like a one-man clan. Here we go. Turn it up. Don't stop. Tell my homies on the block getting dropped by cops. I'm still around for you. Keep my sound underground for you. And I'm going to throw a change up. Quail ain't do nothing but blow my name up. Now my homies in the back streets, the black streets. They feeling me when they rolling in they fat Jeeps. This ain't just a rap song, a black song, telling all my brothers get their strap on and look for me in the struggle, hustling till other brothers bubble.
Man, rest in peace to Pac. Lyricism. Mad Max.
But he can't rap, Mike.
Yeah, Mad Max with the super chat says, you just lying now. One I never heard average NY person say like 3,000 over Big Boy. And Black Hippie wouldn't be bigger if they was from New York. Mad Max is in denial. It's okay.
You really are.